Find a seat. Everyone want to find a seat, please?
No, I'm not. He didn't even start yet.
These guys have gotten worse since I've gotten older.
Just like the right.
I used to be so good at it.
Good evening, everyone. Appreciate everybody taking your time and effort away from your busy schedules to show up tonight and listen to the state of the city and what we're doing in the near future. First of all, I want to thank all of you in this room for taking time to be here tonight, and again, like I said, away from your family. As I've said in the past, you're never going to get 4 or 5 people elected down at 225 Market Street that are going to make that big of a difference in the city of Sunbury, unless you can coordinate them with all the committees and the authorities and the volunteer organizations within a city like Sunbury to clearly make a difference. And that's what we're after. So for that, to even start off, I want to thank you for the time and effort that you put in, whatever committee or committees that you're on, or just the little things that you do in your own neighborhood, again, to make Sunbury a better place. We must go back to the 1970s to compare the actual change taking place in our community. A time in history when the 3 high-rises were built, when the low-income housing was built in the city of Sunbury. A time when our forefathers know when to invest in our own infrastructure for the betterment of the city of Sunbury. Tonight I'm going to talk about investment in our city's future. The city has been fortunate to have 3 consecutive years of no tax increases. We all know that can't last forever. The country's overall economy is not very good, so we can't look for much help from the federal government in the future, at least in the short future, that's for sure. We must continue to invest in our city as we expect outside investment to continue and hope it increases. One of the reasons we continue to get higher income into the city of Sunbury is because of sales of various goods sold in the city. This is one area that must continue to grow if we want to try to meet the demanding costs of the city services in the future. The city of Sunbury is following its comprehensive plan. Its title is Sunbury, the New City, and this is where we're taking it. Investment is the key word here. You will hear me refer to that word throughout the evening. Investment comes in many forms, but it helps and defines our future. The city has invested over $10 million in our riverfront project. Of course, everyone knows this project stabilized the flood protection system while creating some great opportunity recreational for both children and adults alike. It's a way to show the world that there is something on the east side of the wall that is worth investing in. It also encourages outside investors to take a look at what is available and invest at many different levels. We would like to see investment turn into jobs, but we must look at each and every new investment into the city of Sunbury as an opportunity at any and all levels. Neighborhood investment. You have up here in front of me, you can see some of the properties. You can see the 202 Washington Avenue. This, of course, was the original house. That's the new site. I'm sure everybody's aware of that. You can see the 121 Julia Street to my far left. That is the next building you will see raised by the city. Over here you see the area which is 716 North 7th Street. That's one that we turned into the garden. And then 18 and 20 Catalyst Avenue, that's the one that now, as you can see on the top, is where Alexander Chevy has expanded their business. So you can see the before and the afters of these. These are just a few examples of at the area that we've done, what we've done, in not necessarily just for the neighborhoods, but also for our business district. The city has a very active and growing redevelopment authority which is making a giant impact with our neighborhood. A new property owner is now paying taxes on what was an abandoned property for many years, none of which created any tax revenue for any level of government throughout the years. This property owner now helps pay for city services like police protection, recreational opportunities, water, sewer, etc. The city has recently sold the first new house in the city in over a decade. At the first redevelopment authority meeting in 2013, it was announced that we are now on our 25th property. With this successful first project comes positive projects that are affiliated. We must be proactive and get properties fixed before it leads to legal fees for purchase. Really, the city of Sunbury doesn't want to be in the landlord business. We don't want to own properties. We we only take properties because we need to be that middle person that can turn those properties into something positive. The days are gone when the property owners can just stand around for years and years and years, let their values, which they don't care about, deteriorate to the people, the good people of Sunbury that maintain their properties. We're currently working for a more efficient system for our legal and code office involvement, which could lead to a large amount of properties per year. Let me suggest this scenario. 100 new and improved properties by 2022. That's our 250th anniversary. You'll hear that in a lot of meetings in the future. I'm willing to bet that we could be talking about another mill of tax revenue in the city budget that would help maintain future budgets without raising our current property taxes, if indeed we got that kind of revenue from these properties. Now, it took us about 2.5 years to get 25, so we might have to up the average per year, but it's not out of the question. Could that be a great goal? 100 new properties fixed up on the tax rolls by 2022. Throughout the neighborhood investment, we improve our neighborhoods. Again, as I said before, the values of the properties and the values of your neighbors. Clearly, investment within our neighborhoods has brought property owners to a new level of concern. A list of abandoned properties that generate no city, county, or Shikellamy School District income is now turned into properties that will generate a tax flow for everyone. No one wants to pay taxes, but if everybody pays their fair share, it makes it a lot easier not to raise taxes at the end of the year. New properties and everyone paying their fair share creates that tax base that we so desperately need for our future. Business and retail investment. I want to mention, I'm happy to announce tonight the opening of a Keystone Innovation Zone Incubator. It will be located at 218 Chestnut Street in hopes of developing all types of startup companies, from the information technology to diversified manufacturing and biomedical life sciences ideas. This office will be supported by partners of the Greater Susquehanna, KIZ, Ben Franklin Technology Partners of Northeast Pennsylvania, Bloomsburg University, Bucknell University, Central Pennsylvania Chamber of Commerce, Geisinger Health Systems, Royal Enterprise Development Corporation, Susquehanna University, and the Seipel Family Fund Foundation. It is due to the financial support of the Seipel Family Foundation and the intellectual resource supported by all the universities that I just mentioned that we are able to support this facility. The Greater Susquehanna KIZ and our partner, Redevelopment, can assist businesses and entrepreneurs with research and development, financial assistance for those who qualify, networking, creating partnerships, and relationships with existing buildings. Now, we're going to have a ribbon cutting and an open house, and you'll hear more about this on March the 26th, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., which we will feature KIZ companies and existing businesses that work with current KIZs in the state of Pennsylvania. They will show the products and services that are being sold, developed, and currently working on in other KIZs. One of my biggest responsibilities as a mayor is the promotion of the city and everything in it. When I met with economic committees like SIDCO or SNEED or have a conversation with the Redevelopment Authority, it is about the innovative ways to entice investment into Sunbury. From the industrial opportunity side, we must compete with a bad economy, and every community in Pennsylvania is trying to create jobs. I look at our low cost availability for some actually good buildings as a plus as we try to compete with the very few opportunities that are out there. We currently have an agreement with Charlie Ross and the Susquehanna Valley Chamber of Commerce at this time to promote 3 sites. The old Human Services building at 4th and Market Street. Mr. Ross has been giving tours with private individuals in hopes of acquiring investments. John Shipman and SRI have been meeting with representatives of the Albright United Methodist Church right across the street. You walk out the front door in hopes of finding a tenant. And Ronald Smith's across from the Autobahn Church on North 4th Street is also being reviewed. We will continue to be diligent as we search for new tenants and new investment monies to help fill these empty buildings. Our largest industrial site has made huge improvements over the past 3 years. Contrary to all the fictional accusations brought up at public meetings, there's still nearly 50% of the site undeveloped and available for a new industry. A hotel, a convention center, a college campus, even retail stores surrounded by new homes. The old dilapidated small warehouse that formerly housed Clean Harbor in the Moran site is going to be empty, but because of all the money put into that building with its renovations, it will be very remarkable for a new business or industry to purchase or lease. As an entrepreneur, Mr. Moran is open for suggestions as he continues to search for a new business or industry to improve his investment in Sunbury. I can assure you that the Sunbury City Council is always pursuing and willing to support a new and innovative tenant in the future that will create jobs in a safe environment for all its citizens. Retail business opportunities come in many directions. At Monday night's council meeting, I announced a new restaurant going into the 4th Street Mall. Creation of a new business on Market Street that will be associated with the squeeze-in. In recent weeks, I've been contacted by 2 other individuals looking for sites within Sunbury to purchase for new business. I've turned both of those over to SRI, and John's working with them in hopes that we can find a spot to relocate them in Sunbury. Sunbury City Council is currently working with CEDACOG to develop some guidelines on a new program that would lend or give money to downtown businesses that can create jobs and improve their business in our downtown. The outside investment is clearly day by day. We must be ready to act when a response comes. It is for that reason that I will be creating a mayor's action team. It will be the same concept of the governor's action team. If you're familiar with that, comes into play at the time when a business is leaving the state of Pennsylvania, then the governor's action team gets in and tries to save them. Our action team will be more proactive for the city of Sunbury, and maybe a little more like Governor Perry of Texas, if you've read about him and his pursuit to get industry out of California and move to Texas. We will pursue every business opportunity with the best opportunities that we have. I don't really care who owns the buildings, as long as it's good for the city. We will promote new venues in the city of Sunbury. My action team will consist of John Shipman of SRI and the Economic Development Committee, Solicitor Mike Applebaum, a representative of the Chamber of Commerce, a redevelopment authority member, a city finance person. This committee will be filled in the near future. I do want to talk a little bit about SRI. I don't know, everybody should know about SRI, but I just want to go down and review some of the things that they've done. They clearly consist of 8 actual boards: Board of Directors, Executive Committee, Sunbury Pride and Renaissance Coalition, Business and Economic Development Committee, Membership and Finance Committee, Promotions Committee, River Festival Committee, Light Fest Committee, and the New Year's Eve Celebration Committee. Between those committees, they have 46 volunteers. They have donated approximately 1,705 hours of their time in 2012. And I also want to mention out of that group that if you think about the 2 neighborhood groups that we have, one being very successful, the Hill Neighborhood Group, and the other one, the Old Town Group, that's still trying to build. Again, we need to expand on that. I wanted to, and I really didn't, I don't know Mr. Grossman that well to call him up, but if you saw today's newspaper, when you see in the headlines about economy, tourism builds in the valley, it's a perfect opportunity to some of the things that I've talked about for years. But the impact of recreational tourism is just huge in the city of Sunbury. The city of Sunbury has 22 dates, and you can see that listed on our website, that bring people of all ages into the city of Sunbury. They range from an ASA softball tournament in Pennsylvania in June to the River Festival in August. 11 of these events pertain to the recreational opportunities within our city. These events make positive economic impacts on a lot of city businesses. These events not only help to encourage investment in Sunbury, but may be just one of the things that help keep some specific businesses open. These events also help us to shop for new investors. Last year, during one of the softball tournaments, there was a gentleman that walked up to me and he said he couldn't believe how nice a facility we had in the city. It's only 10,000 people. And I thanked him, and he said he had something to do with the cannabis nursery. And his granddaughter was playing softball. But as we began to talk, he said, you know what you need up here is more shade trees. And I said, you know, we've been trying to put shade trees here for a lot of years. There's just a lot of stuff buried up here from Phil, and it's just tough to do it, but we continue on. Well, he said, I'm going to send you 12 brand new shade trees. So we want to thank Councilman Eister, and we coordinated that, and we got, you know, when you're looking at $1,000 a tree, that was quite a donation for us. So, you know, there we had people investing in the outside that knew nothing more than it was a great place, and they appreciated the opportunity for his daughter that didn't live in the city of Sunbury to be able to play softball in the city of Sunbury. Recreational tourism is the #1 reason for people to visit the city of Sunbury. The people that come to Sunbury because of our events are the people that we want to bring back. These are the people that leave wondering why their hometown doesn't have the facilities that we have. These people may consider being part of Sunbury permanently, or at very least want to come back in the future to play in the tournament or go to a restaurant or spend some money in a retail store in the city of Sunbury. These same people go back home and tell their friends that they visited Sunbury, a great place to visit, and that they might have had some negative image before they got there, but it truly is not true. Just think of what the recreational impact within Sunbury has been. Just think of that area up there in the Dunkin' Donuts moved across the street. There's a lot of softball and baseball people that drink coffee, that I know for a fact. Probably some of you tried to go up there on a Saturday as a tournament, and you weren't happy because you couldn't get in to get your coffee. But when you think about it, it's probably the best marketing program we have available. Every time people come back, it creates opportunity for outside money to be spent in our businesses. We talk about new city investment. As our comprehensive plan spells out, the year 2022 is our 250th anniversary. With the title of our plan, Sunbury, the New City, it is clear that if we want to become the new city within the next 9 years, we must continue investing in our future. There is discussion within the city's redevelopment authority on the creation of entire new city blocks, the specific types of homes for both young and old, and actual rebuilding of the neighborhood. I want to mention that the Sunbury Armory was purchased by the city of Sunbury in 1938, sold to the federal government to be used for an armory. I'm sure that everybody's aware that it's no longer an armory. Senator Gordner, Representative Culver, and Congressman Barletta are all working on our behalf to establish a fair appraisal and the opportunity for that site to become a part of Sunbury again. This would create a lot of opportunities for Sunbury for growth and expansion of our tax base. Would it not be great to be talking about the actual development of, let's say, the 10th ward in the city of Sunbury in the future? Tonight I want to take a few more minutes and talk about personal investment that we all take for granted. I want everybody to understand the huge impact this has in our community. I believe everybody in here is involved in various organizations, and I'm sure there's a lot of people tonight here that aren't here tonight. But a lot of people, like I said, take everything for granted and don't understand what impact it makes. This is clearly a part of Sunbury that we do not market, and probably should. The part of our community that truly defines the Sunburian. Part of our heritage that outsiders do not know about, except maybe around the holiday season. We are truly blessed with a diversity of neighborhood churches throughout our neighborhoods, with caring congregations within them. These humble people support many neighborhood functions such as Haven Ministry, Elijah Bowl, holiday meals, pay for laundry fees on a given evening, neighborhood picnics throughout the summer, just to name a few, and that's only the ones that I know about. This investment in our people and our neighborhoods makes a positive impact, as does the nonprofit organizations throughout the city. Through the newly enforced gaming laws, there is a financial impact, and it is available for us, for all of us. We are truly fortunate to have a successful fraternal organization known as the Sunbury Eagles. This nonprofit organization has come to the rescue of many city programs, in public and private. They have contributed to many positive aspects of the community life. These members are truly supporters of Sunbury and will be honored as such. In the same breath, I have concerns about other nonprofit organizations, as low membership and lack of participation render some of these groups near extinction. I do believe that we will lose some organizations with the current 70-30 split of gambling revenue. And for that reason, I ask the citizens of Sunbury to consider joining a nonprofit. If you belong to the Legion, if you belong to the Elks, if you belong to the Moose, maybe you want to support them a little more, get to a few meetings. Like the fraternal orders within Sunbury, we have volunteer fire companies that also need your support, along with city service clubs. The ASA of Pennsylvania is another nonprofit in the city of Sunbury that's run mostly by volunteers. It takes no tax money of any kind. You probably read in the paper they brought in some professional baseball players for the kids a couple weeks ago. Brought in Crystal Butos, probably the best female hitter for the United States Olympic team a couple weeks before that. Like the Eagles, it is a nonprofit that benefits young people in our city by supplying either financial aid to participate in city baseball or softball programs, or actually training so the kids can learn to participate. There's also volunteers that run the city youth and baseball programs. These people are not associated with the ASA Training Center, and they raise money that goes into the maintenance and improvement of the city recreation complex on a yearly basis. This past money, the Men's Adults League, Men's Slow Pitch League out in Route 61, was at City Council and dedicated $1,000 of money that they earned in a volunteer tournament towards our fireworks display for next year. They can pretty much do that on an annual basis. I bring these nonprofits up because I believe we all take them for granted. Too many of us look at them as a social goal and not really what they accomplish in the city of Sunbury. And I'm sure there's a lot of us sitting in this room that don't exactly know what they do. The loss of any of these would be very detrimental to our community and our family value. There's clearly something positive for our community in each and every one of them. I want to just go through a couple projects and recap them. And they are, you're all aware that we're finishing up on the riverfront project. Councilman Isley has done an excellent job on that, and Michelle and him are getting the final paperwork together, I hope, before sometime, just go on. But I want everybody to understand that we have a section of wall on the other side of that project, going north, that needs to be addressed for flood protection. And remember, the reason that whole project was started was for our flood protection, for the protection of your lives and your property in the city of Sunbury. So we have some due diligence to do as far as council, and that means that we need to address that site. At the same time, we're looking into financing to continue the walkway along Front Street, and that will be actually from Ray Street where we stopped all the way up to the bridge going out of town, on the island. How they're going to get to the other side of that bridge to walk over to the marina, we're going to let that up to the state. But we are looking for that funding. The Woolworth Street project, if you're not familiar with that, that'll go from 10